All our decisions, we had to keep in mind that biocides need to have an effect. They have to kill harmful organisms. So they should only be used when it is necessary, and they have to be used in a responsible and in a sustainable way. With the new provision, we have now a change from a directive into a regulation. As you know, directives set objects but leave the implementation to the member states. And it takes a lot of time, and there is some movement possible. Regulations are directly applicable to member states and take effect without the need of implementing measures. This means that we have a uniform level within the European Union from September 2013 on. We have to keep an eye on the equal implementation in all our European member states. The aim of this regulation is to simplify the authorization of substances and products, to simplify the data protection rules, to avoid duplicating vertebrate animal studies through mandatory data sharing, to increase harmonization of fees systems in the member states, to establish rules for parallel trade of biocidal products, to define clear cut-off criteria, and to cover articles treated with biocidal products. I will now talk about a few provisions of this new regulation that could be in particular interest for your sector. First, the cut-off criteria. The politically most controversial discussion focused on the Article 5 of the regulation, on the definition of clear cut-off criteria for active substances and under the strong description of the exemptions from these cut-off criteria. I think in the end we managed to find a good compromise. I think it's not necessary to tell you this compromise. You can read it, it's still written and it's still done, and I think it's a good compromise. With the new wording, we managed to keep a risk-based approach, which is very important to keep sufficient alternatives on the market. And the main purpose of this regulation, one of the main purposes of this regulation, is to make the authorization process for biocides shorter and more efficient, and to take the internal market more harmonized. Therefore, one of my main goals was the centralized authorization done by the European Chemical Agency, the ECHA. The Union authorization will promote research and innovation for the biocidal market. I fought really hard for a Union authorization for all biocidal products, but the Commission and the Council were not supportive. They feared that the ECHA would be overloaded with work as they are still too busy with the registration of chemicals in the REACH process. Finally, we have found a compromise on a stepwise product type-based phasing in. To look, there is no peak, to make it smooth coming in. And the first step will be in 2013, then in 2017, and the last step in 2020. I know someone was hoping for a quicker process, but it was still not possible with the Commission and the Council. I was not in favor of excluding certain product types generally from the Union authorization, because this could lead to less research for new and innovative products. For example, as you know already today, there are traps that function with CO2 which fall under low-risk category. That is why Parliament requires in 2017 a report that shall contain an assessment of the general exclusion of product types, to have a review and to think it once again over, is it necessary to exclude these product types. I therefore hope that in 5 years there will be more innovative, efficient and less poisonous products also in groups that are now excluded from the Union authorization. Besides the Union authorization, we have the possibility of a mutual simplified procedures for biocides with low-risk substances like, for example, natural ingredients. But not every natural ingredient is not harmful if it's safe, so we have to see it in different ways. The EU-wide authorization and the mutual recognition, they are combined with the provisions in Article 36 and 43 that give sufficient possibilities to the member states to adjust to local circumstances and or to refuse a product to be authorized on their market, so to make it more flexible for member states. Now the treated articles. Particular relevant of this regulation are the new provisions for articles that contain biocides. Under the current directive, we have no control of biocides that are important in imported goods. In several cases, this has present risk to the human health. The new provisions foresees now that biocides in treated articles have to be authorized in the European Union, and the article has to be clearly labeled. Biocides have the potential to kill harmful organisms. That is the only reason why we use them. Consequently, these products can cause adverse effects to the human health and to the environment. This is why the sustainable use of these products is so important and why it should be regulated EU-wide. 2 years ago, I was the rapporteur for a framework directive on the sustainable use of pesticides that at the moment is implemented in member states. I also wanted to introduce this approach into the biocides directive. Parliament fought very hard to get a comparable directive for biocides in the next 2 years. For the Council and the Commission, this was not feasible as they need more time and figures about the use of biocides in the EU. Saying just now we started with a new directive and let us see how it works. Until now, it was even not possible to get a definition about the professional user. I know we have the definition in different member states, but it was not possible to set up this definition to get it in the European Union. Coming from Germany and being familiar with your profession, you say Schädlingsbekämpfer. This is common, it's known, and it's very well educated. I would like to introduce comparable standards already now EU-wide. Not only the pest control officers, but for everybody who uses biocides for other people and who get paid for that service. For me, it makes a big difference if I use something by myself or if I do it professionally for someone else. For example, in the case of a product against pediculosis, it's a different word for me, but you know, die Läusebekämpfung is said in German. Okay. I could do it by myself under my own responsibility, or I could go to the hairdresser in order to get a professional application. In this case, I have to be sure that the hairdresser knows what he is doing and I feel safe. My arguments were dismissed by the Commission, who says that not every cleaning woman can get trained. This was a Totschlag argument. This was the argument. But nevertheless, I stick to my opinion. If someone uses biocidal products for others as a provision for service, the responsible person needs to know what she or he is doing. That is why the sustainable use must be part of some other professional educations. For example, farmers. Also farmers have to know in your professional advice when they use biocides to store their goods. Persons who work in the cleaning sector, they have to know what they are doing. Also the cleaning woman put something on They clean up, and they have to know it's necessary that no one come in this room until 5 or 6 hours later on. Medical persons in hospitals who are responsible for the hygienic sector, they need to have an education. Or also cooks in restaurants and public kitchens. And also for salespersons in the shops who could inform the consumer about the sustainable use of the products they buy. They could obtain certificates about sustainable use during the professional training. And besides, we need also this special profession only for this sector. And so I'm also a housewife, and sometimes I have problems, and I don't know how to solve this problem. So I have to have a specialist in this way. In the new regulation, we have now agreed the Commission should present in 3 years a report on how this regulation contributes to sustainable use of biocidal products and additional measures, in particular for the professional users, are necessary. We described what we want, and I not only hope, I think we have to look at what's going on in the forthcoming process. I regret that we could not introduce the request of a legislative act directly in this regulation, but at least we managed to introduce the idea of the sustainable use in the text. Now we, as politicians, have to keep this in focus. I hope that in the upcoming years we will make important steps forward to the sustainable use, and I therefore welcome once again that your association now starts to be permanently present in Brussels in order to accompany and follow the process of the definition and the implementation of the sustainable use. Thank you for your attention, and all the best wishes for your future and for our future. Thank you.